Guys, this is Joe with GotBaseballCards.com coming to you live from Burbank, California at Burbank Sportscards. I'm here with Rob Veras.
Hey, Joe.
Longtime friend and longtime mentor and longtime peer in the hobby. And today we're here to shoot episode 3 of Profiles in Collecting. So I'm going to start off first. Rob, tell me state of your business. What's going on?
Busy. Most of our business is web related. You're in our warehouse right now. And I think we got about 600 orders to get out the door today between all of our different websites. We have BurbankSportscards.com and of course our eBay store, eBay Burbank Sportscards. So things are good. Things are good. They're just different. The walk-in is, something that we do, but our focus will always be on the web.
Okay. So since our series is on collectors, tell me how you got started as a collector. Take us back a few years.
Oh, the memories come rushing back, my friend. Really, it was late 1973. I think that was about the first time I had exposure to actually buying a pack of cards. It wasn't until 74 that I really, I was, 7 years old, 8 years old, that I really actually started collecting cards. The Ice Cream Man became my best friend, basically. It was 5 cents, it was 10 cents, and the thrill of getting those cards. Because when you're a kid, those statistics on the back of those cards, they were everything, those photos. And 75 was the first year I actually tried to complete a set.
Okay.
That's my favorite set of the decade. Just a lot of personal memories.
I know your favorite card's a Fred Lynn rookie, right?
Fred Lynn rookie. I love Fred Lynn. He was my guy. When you're 9 years old and your idol gets Rookie of the Year as well as MVP, yeah, I was a Boston kid. I grew up there.
All right. So tell me, I know you started here in the business years ago as a young teenager, right?
I was a sub-teenager. I don't know if that's a word or not. But in 1979, I think it was April, Donald S. Osborne Coins and Stamps. I was a regular. I loved coins and stamps. I was a collector. And the owner wanted me to deliver flyers for him. My first job, 12 years old, delivering flyers. A penny per car, 2 cents per house. It was big money to a 12-year-old back in the day. And we would spend the afternoons doing that during the summer. Eventually, he liked me enough, come into the shop, work for me, package coins, grade coins, whatever it was, wait on customers. So literally, I have 40 years in the business coming up in April.
Wow. Okay. Well, now, how many years were you here before you and your dad went in to take over?
10 years. Basically, after school, Saturdays, complete summers. And then in 1989, at the age of 22, my father and I partnered to buy the store out. And it's interesting because the store had coins and stamps, both U.S. and foreign, had comic books, gold, silver, jewelry. He was a jack of all trades and master of none. And eventually we slowly phased out all of those other parts and just strictly became master of one with the sports cards.
All right, tell me the story. I've read about this years ago. You had this on your site. Probably the worst day you ever had in the business.
It was January 17th, 1994, better known as the Northridge earthquake. It was 4:31 in the morning. Giant jolt just scared the crap out of me. Bolt out of bed. Looking around, not a lot of damage at my home. Just a few things fell over. The pool has like a tidal wave going back and forth. But my first thought was, oh my God, I need to get down to the store. Get down to the store. It's like a war zone. Cop cars, 5 miles an hour, lights going. I get to my shop. First thing I notice is all the glass has been broken out. So I'm like, oh my God. Second thing I notice, it's pitch black obviously, is that I have a problem opening my door because there's product that had fallen. Push the door open, and it was basically the worst possible 52 card pickup that you can imagine. Absolutely awful. Wrecked our business. We were able to board up the front. We were open, but business was, and it was basically around the same time as the baseball strike as well, and the hockey strike. So that wasn't a good period for my business. But the best part of it, though, was the building we ended up moving into had major earthquake damage, but it was much bigger. We were able to retrofit it, get it going, and we actually ended up moving to that building about a year and a half later.
All right. And now your building you're in now, what year did y'all move in here?
Moved in here 2007, and the thought process was our internet's growing, our retail kind of is what it is. This building was perfect. It's 7,500 feet, very small showroom, maybe about 800 feet. The rest of the building is all warehouse. And as you can see behind you, we'll give you a better view in a bit. we've got a lot of racks in this place, and it's got a huge capacity for cards. So the building was perfect, and it's right off a major freeway as well. So it seemed like the right move at the right time.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do a tour before we finish up. Tell me, as a fellow business owner, what do you think have been the biggest changes you've witnessed over your years in the hobby? Or things that have impacted the hobby directly?
A lot of people like to look back at the glory days in this business. Oh, the late 80s, early 90s, they were just wonderful. And no, that's not my opinion. Technology's changed everything. We're not manually pricing cards and Beckett coming out the next month and putting a sticker over the old sticker because Frank Thomas cards went up and Joey Bell cards went down. And literally, we had to manage things in that kind of way. Very, very labor intense. A phone order or an order through the mail where they write up a list. You do the work, you figure out what you have, you send them the prices, you never hear from them again, wasted labor, very inefficient. Technology coming into play changed everything. Our first website was back in 1996, mostly informational. Come 1999, we were the first customer for the Beckett Marketplace. Once we had a database, and once our organization that we had already kind of got built into this database, things changed and changed in a hurry. Busy filming.
It's all right. They're always busy. It's okay.
Yeah.
We understand.
Yeah, we got lots of guys running around this place. But once we were able to database our whole inventory, expose it to the masses, it just changed everything. So technology, eBay partnerships, Beckett Marketplace. We've done Amazon over the years. But the fact that we'll ship 450 to 600 packages a day would not have been possible without the technology of yesteryear. These are the glory days of the industry right now. Don't let anybody tell you any different.
All right, from as we look at the different manufacturers out there, a lot of exclusives, a lot of new technologies coming out. If you could sit down with all the manufacturers today, if representatives from Leaf and Topps, Panini, and Upper Deck were all here, what would you recommend to them? Biggest changes you'd like to see within the industry from a manufacturing standpoint?
I mean, more marketing outside, more branding outside of just preaching to the choir. We really need commercials during sporting events. We need to expose to the wider audience. That's always a challenge. That's something that we try to do in our individual business, but there's so many big events that are televised that, a small fraction of the world collect sports cards. I know that we could grow that exponentially with better marketing outside. And the second thing would be not to focus on that high-end consumer. They're wonderful. They're great. They keep a lot of us in business, but at the end of the day, it's that kid that's got $5 or $10. It's that family that's living paycheck to paycheck, wants to be involved in our industry, but we priced them out with the unopened product.
Right.
We need more affordable products, but I think they can do affordable and quality at the same time. I don't know. I think they're struggling to do that, but they need to make a better effort. That's my opinion.
All right, what do you think they should do? Since both of us started in the hobby as young collectors, what would you say to them as how to attract those younger kids?
I think there needs to be school programs, Boy Scout programs, Little League programs. Get them started young. Like that ice cream truck doesn't go down the streets anymore.
Right.
That exposes the cards. I think that there's ways to get cards and to partner with school districts and such. There's ways to do it, and to get, most importantly, girls involved. 55% of the population, I don't know, there's always more girls than boys. Right. We need to get them involved. They love sports.
Yep.
Women love sports in general. How do we get to them?
Right. One other aspect we often get asked about is the impact of grading, which wasn't around when we started in the industry.
Right.
So where do you see, what's the good, bad, and the ugly of grading in today's market?
Well, I'm not as big a grader as everybody else. I've always been in the thought process that new cards come out, they're near mint, they're gem mint, right out of the pack. And the subtle differences where a card comes out, it's $250. Now all of a sudden it's $1,800 because it's this grade. Can anybody really tell me the differences between those? I'm old school. You might be looking at me going, you're such a relic. But that's just the way I think. And when I'm selling products to customers, I need to feel good about that. I need to feel that they're getting the right deal. Vintage, pre-80. Card is an 8 or a 9, obviously. Send that card in for grading. Right. I know the market's not built that way anymore because of the modern part of the market. Yeah. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it. Utilize it on that vintage where the difference between a 7 and an 8 and 8 and 9 and 9 and 10 can be astronomical. but they're vintage cards. They're supposed to have differences in condition. They weren't put out just to be put into hard plastic and put away. They were put out, played with, varying degrees of wear, 50 years old. That's where condition makes a difference. I think we kind of jumped the shark as an industry with grading. My opinion, I doubt many people share it.
It's all right. You got 7,500 feet here. How tall are the ceilings?
I believe the ceilings are 14 feet. I used to be able to jump and touch them. I can't do that anymore. Kidding. But we have 12-foot racks here. We have capacity for about 75 million cards in the building without stacking a box. Bought a lot of shelving. We currently have about 43.6 million cards in the building. Everything's color-coded by sport, year, brand, number, order. The shelving makes it all possible. We made a big investment in shelving. We spent well into 6 digits shelving this business out.
Yeah. Well, we get asked all the time from collectors. They always say they're running out of room at their homes, they're running out of rooms, and other shop owners. How do you do it, Joe? And I know that you get asked all the time. So let's walk around the warehouse. Show us how you squeeze in.
Yeah, let's do it.
The capacity for 75 million cards,
all right.
7,500 square feet.
Well, just to start with, everything's trial and error. We started off years ago. Our shelving might have been this far apart or this far apart because the shelving was expensive, and we didn't really realize that we were wasting so much space. Now, when you walk down our aisles, you'll see that the shelves are just barely taller than the actual boxes that go on them. Let's go down Main Street, our most walked-in aisle. And the reason why it's the most walked in is because baseball dominates our sales. You'll see green. Everything's color-coded by sport. What we try to have, folks, is a roadmap for our employees. Everything, if you know ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and colors, you can work for me. The cameraman, he passed all 3 things. He was able to get a job here. But what you'll see here is 2004 baseball as an example. It's all color-coded. It's all clearly labeled what it is. Everything's alphabetical. And then, so you have your box. Now, let's pull out this box. This is 2004 Donruss Classics Baseball. All the base cards, there's another box too. But what you'll see is tabs here. This is all the inserts and parallels that are at the end of the run. All the inserts and parallels are chronological and alphabetical as well. So it's a roadmap. These guys can get to any card in seconds. I've always said we can get to any card in this building in 30 seconds. And that's a must. Labor real quick, we'll take you down one other aisle that's kind of interesting. Real quick, right back here is our shipping department. What you'll see back here is tons of bubble mailers, boxes, orders that are stacking up, staging. These are the latest ones that get pulled over here. All kinds of supplies for shipping. They ship hundreds and hundreds of packages a day. I mean, just bubble mailer cases everywhere we look. That's our lifeblood right there. Follow me back here. This aisle here has a lot of our other sports. Purple, golf, yellowish gold, soccer, so on and so forth. We try to have every release. We try to have a selection of everything. To me, selection's everything. And, you might find us because of one card that we have out there that isn't out there by anybody else. Come to our site, you realize, wow, they have a lot of different cards. And so we try to go as wide as possible with all categories. Use top loaders. It's ridiculous. I hand them out to kids a lot. Kids come in, give them a stack of top loads, make their day. Mom's happy. I got a customer.
All right. Well, I know we've both tried to help other dealers over the years, new guys getting started. With the state of the industry today, what words of encouragement would you give to a new shop owner, and how to get started? What steps would you recommend he take? Obviously, there's very few of us that do things like this.
Yeah.
There's a handful of us, but there's not a lot. But a new shop owner, what words of encouragement would you give them?
I think really, play to your strength. There's a lot of jack of all trades, master of none. If you're young, you're technologically savvy, you like being in front of the camera, be a case breaker. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's hard to do everything well. Know your strengths and play to them. This is 30, 40 years of building a mousetrap that to start it today, I simply don't recommend it. And it's play to your strength. If you've got a great retail environment, make that your strength. We had to make a decision between retail and online. I personally felt it was really difficult to do both at a high level.
Right.
I decided that the 30 square miles around my business weren't as important as catering to the globe, and that's why I built this. I want to be your local card shop, and I couldn't do that unless I really made this the focus of my business. Anybody else out there looking to get into this business, start a business, pick what you're good at and be better at it than anybody else. That's my advice.
I know who that came from.
Yeah, Jim Beckett taught me a lot. He was my mentor, and he gave me 2 bits of advice. The most important one was do what's difficult and do what's better than anybody else, and you'll be able to control the market. Good. Oh, the other one was get rich slowly. And that's kind of what we've done here is you build the infrastructure, don't screw over the customers, don't get too big too quick and not have the infrastructure to maintain it. And so those are the 2 bits of advice he gave me.
Yeah. Good words from Dr. Beckett. Yeah. So you talked about the globe. The world's getting smaller as technology. So what changes have you seen in the international market as far as your sales go over the last few years, the growth?
Well, with the Japanese economy recovering these last couple of years has made a giant difference in our business. They were struggling for so many years, and their strengths of buying back in the 90s with the basketball boom, that went away for a while. But it's back, and it's back bigger and better than ever before. We're getting South American orders a lot more so than we used to see. Europe obviously has been a big part of our business. I'd love to see you get Africa involved. Their economy is certainly coming into shape. Being able to market to the rest of the globe. There's billions of people that are finally starting to get internet access. To me, that's the growth opportunity for our industry.
So we talked about you as a childhood collector. All right, you see millions and millions of cards come through here. I know I process tons of collections. There's always those few things like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It may not be that expensive.
Right.
Like, that's really cool. I think I'll just hang on to that one.
Yeah.
Tell me some cards you've added to your collection you can think of lately. Is there anything you've put back?
Well, the funny thing is people ask about my collection. My collection's 43 million cards, and it changes every day. I tell people I don't have any cards at home. I don't really have a personal collection, and they find that kind of strange. But like yourself, I'm here 11 hours a day. Cards are that's all I do all day long. I put my readers on. I'm grading vintage cards. Everything is replaceable to me. There's certain cards that are like, oh my God, I love this card. I might put it in my office and just kind of hang it up there. But the wife is quite pleased when we moved into this building. It means everything got out of my garage. And I want a happy wife, happy life, right? So keeping cards out of the house and keeping them all here is probably the best bet for me.
All right, favorite new product you've seen in the last year, design-wise, or?
God, that's a good question. They're all so good. Wow, you're stumping me.
Yeah,
that's the first stump, I think.
Mark it down. Rob Ayers speechless.
I don't get to see all the cards all the time because my guys are processing so many things. Yeah, I just love the Topps Heritage brand. I mean, that's always like number one to me. I just love the old school vibe with the new school technology. That's always something for me.
Yeah. Our new favorites have been the luminaries this year.
Yeah.
I mean, the designs this year, we had customers just really fall in love with that product. Beautiful product.
Well, if I could add something, Upper Deck. We were just at the Upper Deck conference the last couple of days, and they were going over upcoming hockey releases. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, there's some.
Oh my
awesome
God,
stuff coming.
There's some crazy stuff coming. Very exciting.
Yes, very good stuff. Anything else you'd like to add to collectors? Any words of advice to collectors getting started?
First thing I'd like to add is this is an extended adolescence. I'm doing something I love that I've been doing since childhood. I don't consider it work. I come in the morning, 6:30, 7:30 in the morning. I never dread it. Maybe some of my partnerships, I dread dealing with them, but the cards themselves is a joy. I've never been burnt out. It's kind of, I wish everybody could have that same feeling about what they do for a living. It's a great hobby. It's great for kids. It's educational. I believe everybody needs a hobby, and those that choose this one are very lucky, I believe, because it's a great hobby. Much better hobby than it is a business. I always like to put hobby first.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you tuning in, and thanks, Rob, so much
Joe,
for your time.
brother.
Thanks for coming out.
Love this guy. Southern gentleman, class all the way. He does things the right way. You picked a great person to do business with.
Thanks for tuning in, guys, and come back next time for Profiles in Collecting. We will see you soon.
Later. T, thank you very much. All right.